at the growth of something in space on the space station during World Space Week. There are classrooms all over the world that are doing space experiments and looking specifically at studies that are done in space. So you are now part of that global community. So today, and for a lot of days, I am going to be posting an instructional video, which is going to guide you through the activities for the day. What this will allow you to do is to work at your own pace during class time, because as we're progressing through this sequence of activities, you guys are in very different places. So this will mean you're not having to wait for a group in your breakout room, or if your internet crashes, you can go at your own pace, but this still must be done during class time. So right now, we just like we normally do, we are going to do our first 5. So today you are going to make sure you have during the first 5, open your quick write, respond to the question, and make sure you have your graph for activity 1 open. Ready and go. are back. So during that time, you should have responded to the question in your quick write. Even if we're doing class this way, you still need to make sure that you are responding to the quick write questions when they are posted. There will be questions throughout class. In particular, right at the beginning, that is how I take attendance, always has been. So make sure that you are doing that. So we just gotten through our first 5, and you should have responded to that first question in your quick write. So the next thing that we're gonna do is take a look at some of our reminders. For today's work, and again, you're going to be able to do this on your own. So for your activity today, you're going to be working through at your own pace. And then when we come together next time, I will be available in the chat, and you can always attend office hours if you have questions. So you need to make sure that today, number one, we're reading all instructions in our graph, and be careful not to resize things. And I'll show you that in just a second. Make sure that all parts of activity 1 are complete. You cannot move on to the next component of this until they are. And this is why we're doing class this way, where I'm posting these videos right now, is so that people can work at their own pace, because some people are like done with everything and other people still need to do quite a bit. So we need to make sure that all parts of activity 1 are complete before we move on. Also, remember, just as a reminder, my office hours have changed. They are now Monday, Thursday at the same time instead of Tuesday, Thursday. So for today, we are going to be taking a look at our growth graph slide, and this is due today. And then you are going to jump into the assignment that is going to prepare you for the remaining 3 activities in Orion's Quest, and that is the web diagram. And I do see some of you guys have already done that. Some of you guys got that returned to you because there was a component of that you had not done. So this is not a challenging assignment, but we do need to be familiar with the components of the hub and the web, and how the spider interacts with the web in order to assess those changes in the spider and in that behavior over time. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is take a look at the activities for today. So here you can see we have this growth graph slide, and this was posted last week, and I do see that some of you guys have turned that in. So we need to read our instructions in the example slide and move the dots for the space spiders and the triangles for the ground spiders to the appropriate places in the graph to represent the spider length on a particular day. And we want to be as precise in our placement as possible. So just to note, these can change size if you don't grab them correctly. So you want to make sure that you see the crosshairs cover it completely. If you accidentally resize, just do the best you can to get it back to the original. So this is what this looks like. So these represent our space spiders, and these represent our ground spiders, and you can see those instructions are right there. So you can see that here is the slide that you will be submitting. However, you have some instructions on the next slide. So just take a look at these. So using your data collection and using your activity 1 graph, you're moving the circles and the triangles to the appropriate location. And here again, we have a key. We're being precise in our placement, and we want to make sure we're correctly reading our X and Y axes. And one way to remember this is that X is always going to be our horizontal, and Y to the sky goes up. So we have an example that I gave you on the next slide. So this would be how to read that. So for example, here we can see on this date, and I know these axes may not perfectly match yours, but you can get the gist here. So here we have an interval. We can see we have 5, 10, 15. We have an interval of 5. So, but if we take a look at this line, we can see that that is not quite on the 10 or the 15. It's like 2 lines up. So I would say that that's a value of 12. So that's our Y, and down here is our X. So we just want to be as specific as possible. So it would only be on the line if it were 15 or if it were 10. Now for your graph, You can see your dates are a little different. So here you have an interval of 10. There's 10 in between. So therefore, if it's say 42, it'd be somewhere like this. 58 would be something like this. So we want to find the location where we have an intersection. So say 529, you can choose either one of these lines here. So say it's 42. So say it's 529 and 42 centimeters. Okay, so say that's what we're looking for here. So what we would do, if it's 42, we want to first find that on our y-axis, because this guy is our y. So here's 40, there's 50, and we know it's not either one of those. 42 should be right about here. So then we want that to intersect with our y-axis. So we would have to come over here, find, let's see, we're doing that line, go up here, and right there is where I'm going to move my dot or triangle, whatever it is. Here you can see my crosshairs. If I do that incorrectly, if I have an arrow, it resizes, okay? So an arrow resizes, crosshairs move. So look at my cursor, crosshairs, arrows, crosshairs, arrows. That's the difference. Okay, so right now what I would like you to do is press pause in the video. And I want you to complete this graph using your data. If you are already done, or if you have submitted this, I want you to triple check and make sure that for each date, you have both your circles for your flight spiders, for your space spiders, and your triangles for your ground spiders. So make sure that you have both of those for each date. So that should look like, say, a circle and a triangle. If they're really close, it may look like that. So that would be one data point. Actually, that's not about the date. And for some of them, you have slightly different dates for your ground spiders. Okay, so let's make sure that we have that all completed. Even if you have already submitted, pull it out, unsubmit, and resubmit again. So right now, please press pause in your video to complete this. Only push play when you're done. Okay, welcome back. So now you should have your spider growth graph completely submitted. So the other thing that you have posted in your Google Classroom is a missing assignments Jamboard. Just follow the instructions within it to do what you need to do to identify your missing assignments. You can do that today during flux time. So the next thing you're going to do is your web diagram, and I do see that some of you guys have already done this. So here you have your words. These are your new vocabulary words. And you're going to describe these things in 10 words or less. You should be able to answer those by looking at the image, but you may have to look back at your background material as well. Make sure that you don't forget this question. This is important. This should be a complete sentence to tell me which of these you think would change the most in space and why. Please don't say none of them unless you tell me why. You can say none, but you have to explain the why. The why here is crucially important, being able to explain that. So please push pause and go ahead and complete this assignment. So now and only now, once you've completed the web diagram, can you dive into activity 2. So for activity 2, for these, notice that you have side-by-side images. So we have a side-by-side image of our flight and ground spider. So here, we're not doing a measurement. We're not taking a quantity. And this is the difference between quantitative research that gives us a numerical value. We had a number. We had a measurement for activity 1. For activity 2, we're describing the characteristics or the qualities. This is a qualitative investigation for 2. So here you have 9 sets of photos showing your flight and your ground spider, and they're side by side. And we are comparing the hub. This is where you have to have submitted your web diagram first. And you're recording your observations in the comment box. Now, for your observations, right here, these have to be 2 to 4 complete sentences and save your progress. You need to start on this today. You can finish this on Friday. When you're done, and only when you're done, there is an assignment in your Google Classroom that has analysis slides. So let's take a look at that. Only when you're done will you take a look at this assignment. So remember, you have to be done with activity 2 in Orion's Quest. I don't expect you'll get here this week or today, but you should be getting here Friday and Tuesday. This is not due until next Wednesday. So once you've completed all components of 2, each answer making sure that you are using 2 to 4 complete, 3 to 5 complete sentences, then you're completing these slides, adding your imagery as necessary. So you have instructions on each slide. So here we're inserting a screenshot of any choice of your space spider and ground spider hub location. We're using the shapes in the toolbar to circle the hub. So right here we have shapes. So if I want to use a circle, I can go like this, but it fills it in. So what I want to do is click on this guy, or I can have it highlighted with that blue circle, and I want to make it transparent, and that makes a circle. So that's one way that you can do that. Another way that you could do that is by using the line tool and just, not line tool, the scribble tool, and I can make a circle that way too. So that's another way that you could do that. So here again, we're inserting a screenshot of any flight spider and ground spider. Please make sure that and they don't need to be in the same date. But probably, because you want to include their differences. So that's the whole objective here, is trying to look at their differences. So here we're talking about the differences we noticed between each. Remember that these should be 3 to 5 complete sentences. Then we're thinking about a completely different pair of space and ground spiders. This should look very different than your other set. It's up to you how you choose these, but know that for this assignment you are choosing 2 pairs and they need to look vastly different from each other. So up to you how you choose to do that. And again, we're using the shapes in the toolbar to circle the web hub. Then here, once again, we're using 3 to 5 complete sentences to describe the differences you observed between the hub locations in your second set of images. Then lastly, we're describing how the hub location changed throughout the entire study. So this should be at least 4 complete sentences and include 3 new words. And we're highlighting those words. These can be words from your background information, from your web diagram, or from your spider drawing, where we learned the anatomical parts of the spider, we learned the web location differences, and we learned some components about web weaving in our background info. Our highlight tool is found right here. Oops. Oh man, sorry, that went away. There we go. Sorry, our highlight tool is found right here. So you need to make sure that you have at least 3 new words. And again, I don't expect you to get to this until most likely Friday or Tuesday. Please make sure you are answering your questions in your quick write throughout class today, and attend office hours with any questions you have. Have a wonderful day.